Thanks, Mr. Goose. Cooperative games are fun. Teaming up with friends to take down giant monsters is a rewarding experience for everyone involved. But put a human brain inside one of those monsters and the game changes. This is Evolve.
I feel like the team is relying on me to find him.
He went through the swamp this way.
I got him. Yes, I got him! God, I need help. Oh, he got me!
Release the kraken.
That's gonna hurt.
Evolve is a human versus monster game. It's brought to us by Turtle Rock Studios, creators of Left 4 Dead, which was a game that took a simple idea of zombies versus humans and created something that transcended your average co-op shooter. So I guess the real question is, can they do it again with Evolve?
Let's go murder this rare and endangered wildlife. For money.
The basic idea is to throw 4 humans into a monster's world for a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. The monster grows in strength as the match goes on by eating wildlife. It can evolve twice into a more powerful beast if it has time and can evade its pursuers. In the standard game mode Hunt, a stage 3 monster can then turn the tables on the hunters by attacking the power relay, forcing the hunters into a defensive position.
Now things are somewhat more difficult.
Hex, when you first jump in, it's just chaos, isn't it? As you try and figure out what you have to do and where to go.
You really do feel like a rookie, don't you?
Yeah, a paranoid rookie, where any flicker in the shadows can mean instant death.
I just love how stressed everyone is as they desperately try and hold the team together, barking orders left and right. It's great.
Yeah, I think half the game is communication and trying not to get too worked up with the arguments that you have with your friends.
I'm so gone.
Oh no.
Glove revive him.
I'm trying. I'll get
I have
you.
my shield up.
And someone help me?
Where are you?
Coming.
Stop it, you stupid
Help.
frogs.
Help.
I had a toad issue.
It's over.
Oh, this isn't going well. We had him.
We probably needed our assault before this all began.
This is true. I didn't think about that.
And that's the biggest strength of the game, I think. You're always learning how to do better by how badly you've done before.
Man, we did no
did
damage
right.
to him. In stage 1, we should have killed him.
When those weak spots are up, I think we've all just got to go for it.
Well, let's talk about the hunters first. There are 4 classes, and each of these have 3 characters to play, which you unlock as you go. From what we've unlocked so far, it's clear that each character class has quite different weapons and playstyles to go with them. The Assault is your damage dealer, the Trapper relies on gadgets such as anchors,
Arena's up.
Oh, where is he?
He's here. You're not getting away, buddy. Where are you going?
and can pop a mobile arena dome, which if used at just the right time can force the monster into a fight.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Nowhere!
Support is second in line for damage, can shield allies for backup protection, or drop an orbital barrage.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
And finally, there's the medic, who makes use of the all-important tranquilizers to slow the monster, heals teammates, and can puncture the monster for weak spots. And as we mentioned, all 4 classes have extra characters to unlock, which drastically alter your playstyle.
Yeah, I especially liked the robot Bucket, who can send off his head for a bit of recon.
Now to see
Getting
what
in
we
trouble.
can see.
Do you grow a new head? Or does it, like, teleport back?
I don't know.
And there is a lot of recon to do. You're always chasing the monster, following its tracks, keeping the map up to try and predict where it's going to go next and cut it off at the pass.
What, as a hunter should be doing.
Indeed.
Okay, I reckon he's gonna go up and then left. I got him! Shoot her!
Oh, die, die, die.
I also like how you always have to be aware of what's happening. You can't slack off for a second. You really need to know what your teammates are doing at all times so that no one gets stuck in wildlife or gets ambushed.
Monster in the water, monster in the water. Watch out.
And the fights, Barjo, they're so frantic, especially if the monster catches you off guard.
Monster. Oh, there's another crocodile.
Look at all those weak spots!
Go, go.
Oh, rocks!
This is one of those games that's really frustrating to play with people who don't know what they're doing, of which there are many of online. There's also a little bit of trial and error with mixing up the classes, but I think that's part of the fun.
There's also lots of switching between targets in a fight. From the hunters to the monster, back to the hunters, all this switching back and forth, and I really like that. It's really focused on utilizing your specific role within the group.
Yeah, and the pressure is always on too, because the longer you take to track it down, the more risk you have of it evolving and getting more powerful. There are lots of cues to alert you to the monster's location though, such as scared birds and audio markers,
Monster scared some birds! Leave the birds alone.
plus the roar of the monster itself if it evolves.
He's down here.
Once again though, charging into where you think the monster might be might seem like a good idea, but you could be walking into a trap.
Easy. There's a trap.
Where is he?
Let's talk about the monsters. There are 3 with the standard edition of the game. The Goliath is kind of like a warrior. It leaps about the land, breathing fire. I love its victory scream, Hex. That tongue. There's also the Kraken, which is more like a mage. It flies about hurling electricity and waves to knock enemies over. And the Wraith, who is more like a rogue and the scariest of the 3 by far.
When playing as a monster, you have quite a few choices available to you at the start of a round. Do you feed and evolve as fast as possible? Or rush in and try and catch the team off guard? Or maybe play a stealth game? The monster can hide quite well in this world full of other giant beasties. These maps feel like the monster's turf, like it grew up on this planet as the alpha predator. Feeding on these creatures also fills a secondary health bar or armor bar. It's usually a good idea to lure hunters into a trap when your armor is full.
The biggest surprise for me, Hex, was that the monster was super fun to play, maybe even more fun than the humans. I often find in games like this, whenever there's a different type of creature that you're controlling, like a zombie or a beast, the controls and the unfamiliarity of how that monster works ultimately makes them not as much fun to play as the humans. But not in this case.
Yeah, it's so rewarding when you're dominating in a fight.
You really do feel like a monster just grabbing at these humans. Take it.
Yeah, and location is really important too. I mean, there's some areas that are much better to fight in when you're playing as the monster, but some as humans. But you want to do the confrontation on your own terms, and probably not in a small room.
He's got time for that kind of...
The game encourages you to plan out attacks and yet always adapt to the situation at hand.
He's in now, he's trapped in.
Dropping into a fight is pretty exciting, and the drop-in, drop-out system works really well, with bots taking over players if they leave or get disconnected.
The bots aren't great though, are they? They're slightly better than nothing. Still, I'm glad they're there. I also quite like the second mode, evacuation.
Can anyone help? We were attacked.
This is a longer match set over various days, where the wins and losses of one round will affect who has an advantage on the next. And this comes in the form of things like turrets and those nasty plants on the ground that like to munch on you. I always go back to Hunt though.
Yeah, Hunt is just more fun, I think, and it just feels more refined and competitive. But I do like how evacuation forces monsters and humans to rethink their current situation and refocus priorities. There's just so much that's great about Evolve, and I'm surprised at how much more we find to talk about as we play.
Absolutely. And it's just a shame that it's all tainted a little by its high price, especially on PC. I know there are other online retailers that can do it better, but direct from Steam, it's a whopping $79.99 US. So for us Australians right now, that's about $100. And if you want the DLC on top of that, let me just go cash in some war bonds, Hex.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the console version is a little bit cheaper at around $80 Australian, but still, this feels like it should be more like the $50 to $60 mark.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because I want my multiplayer shooters to have this much polish, but I don't want to have to go get a second mortgage on my scooter to be able to afford it.
Well, I mean, it's similar to other multiplayer-focused games like Titanfall. It's just a little light on content for the asking price.
Can you mortgage a scooter? I guess if you're living in it.
I mean, no.
I have completely drained and replaced my lubricants.
Still, you won't be disappointed with the actual game, and most importantly, it feels balanced, which is no easy task when one of the playable characters is a giant mutating monster.
Yeah, absolutely. Those fights get right down to the wire, don't they? And that's a good sign. What are you giving it, Hex?
I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
I'm going to give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this, but with a special reviewer's badge. I call this one the Wallet Disemboweler.
It's far away! Over there! Robot stating the obvious.
He's running.
And there she goes, the majestic Goliath, into the flame.